Well, this is Mr. Black and Asian Jesus. We are back. You may have thought we've been away, but we are back. Hiding in the shadows, we have been hiding in the shadows. Welcome to San1ty Podcast Part 2. I am Mr. Black, your host, alongside Asian Jesus, Australian Matty Boy. Now, obviously, we have not been online for quite some time, but obviously, you know, real life does come up at certain points, and we just have to deal with those things. However, today we do have some exciting things to talk about, mainly Grand Theft 5 Online. Now, as we all know, Grand Theft is literally less than 2 weeks away now, but the big reveal was the online mode, which, quite frankly, was mind-blowing. Now, as we know, Rockstar for some time have been putting out little details saying, oh, you know, this is going to be revolutionary, there's going to be a new multiplayer, but we can't quite talk about it yet. Well, it's time to talk about it. So, Matthew, what do you think of Grand Theft Online and the potential 16-player in the full world? What are your current views? How do you think it's going to pan out?
I want an apartment. They look awesome. That's just... again, you go back to San Andreas, your character's life is a lot better than your own. Pretty much it's all happened again, apart from it's now in multiplayer. But yeah, that is just... The multiplayer video was just a fantastic thing to watch. Just the amount of freedom that's been going into these games is just increased, and it's quite surprising that although the player count per game is low for what it could be, I mean, I reckon you could probably be seeing...
Yeah, it's 16 players, isn't it? Yeah.
But then at the same time, you might want to keep it low. But you could probably end up seeing something like 32 man, 50 odd man, especially on the PC. The PC could be seeing a lot more people on there. I think ultimately, when it gets there,
where they're gonna go. I think it is gonna go beyond that. I mean, obviously, we do have some details to talk about shortly. Well, I think where we should start is where and when did Rockstar first think about GTA Online, and you know what was the sort of vision they had for it. Now, according to Leslie Benzies, the president of Rockstar North and the man who sort of oversaw Grand Theft 3 and further games, basically you could sort of say that he is pretty much the godfather of what Grand Theft has become. He has stated that when they started making Grand Theft 3, and every single game after that, they said, well, you know, we're going to do it now, but unfortunately they never had the tech, but now they've got the money, the manpower, and the technology to be able to do it, and, you know, finally, we're actually going to get, you know, a Grand Theft Online. Now, as he said, and we've talked about this before, as he has said, this is not just going to be a one-off sort of game. This is going to be now separate to the single-player experience and is going to become a sort of an evolving world of its own, which I find very interesting. I mean, what do you think?
It's... What I'm seeing is pretty much... Do you remember a game that was in production... It was meant to be like a crime MMO. It's just yes, it's another group that's tried to make something that Rockstar has done better.
Yeah, they were the guys who originally made Grand Theft, weren't they? The guys who span off, who made Crackdown. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called.
I can't remember either, but I didn't actually spend much time online.
I believe it's gone free to play now.
Has
actually,
it?
By the way, just if anybody actually does know that, please leave a comment below. I've completely forgotten what that was.
I heard they were bridging on getting shut down or something at one point. This was probably a good year ago, maybe 2 years. But yeah, it's just something that you read on an article every now and then. Something's happened to this game that you really didn't pay much attention of in the first place, but you still recognise it. But yeah, it's it's odd. It's somehow Rockstar Games seems to be able to do that idea and be able to succeed, where others can go along that path and maybe get somewhere, or just flounder. And you look at Saints Row, and Saints Row is probably one of the only other few that have actually been able to make something out of that crime free roam genre. You also got the Mafia series, which can be a bit underrated, overrated, depending on who you're coming from, kind of thing. I thought Mafia...
I think it depends on the game. I think the first one was very good, and I think the second one was... Well, I think it was a bit all over the place, to be honest.
Yeah, Mafia 2 was very much all over the place, but at the same time, although you jumped on a few tropes, it was still a pretty decent game. And yeah.
I did enjoy... I have to say, I did think it had a good ending. I enjoyed... I did enjoy some of the missions. I just thought the shooting mechanics were so bad. It was just outrageously bad. Was the shooting? It was so inaccurate. I mean, there was some good, weight to the weapons and stuff, but I just felt that the actual aiming of it was all over the place.
I found the prison shower fight scene just a bit too out there.
That's what she said.
Oh, it's just such an odd scene. It's just like, okay, we've got showers, we've got the usual kind. Let's have a fight in there. It's just like, I consider it more of a trope because it's not the first time it's been done. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, this is just a bit too odd. Yeah, let's fight some people in towels. Somehow those towels don't ever fall off.
Well, and thankfully they didn't, unlike in The Lost and the Damned, where, the famous scene of, hello Mr. Klebitz, you can see what sort of man I am.
Honestly, I really weren't too fazed by it. That was quite...
I seriously did. I honestly didn't think that the camera would actually pan down to the junk. I really didn't. But knowing Rockstar, we should have known better. Yeah, there was going to be junk action. Yeah, there was.
It had to happen. We can't keep on playing Austin Powers. We can't just have that long-going intro sequence where we're going in between Jewish people cutting up sausage and all that. Rockstar just went, no, let's have a bit of fun. There we go.
I believe his line was, "I've got nothing to hide, Mr. Klebitz," or something along those lines.
Exactly.
It was a good line. I have to say, it did bring a smile to my face. It did. It was rather amusing, I must say. Now, obviously, getting back onto the online portion of Grand Theft, I think I'm quite excited about the level editor. I mean, obviously at the beginning they've said, you're only going to be able to make death matches and races, but because they're the simplest, sort of things for users to get used to. And then they said they're going to trickle out, further tools, new creators, new content. Mr. Benzies also said that, they don't want to sort of overload people because it is quite a complex system. And he also stated that, people are going to have enough to deal with when the game actually comes out and it's the single player, because apparently there's going to be a lot of new things, so they're giving us 2 weeks leeway, wink wink, they're giving themselves 2 weeks leeway, I think, more to get the technology in place. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go live. I don't know. Maybe day one it'll be an absolute mess. I mean, usually, from my experience on PCs, if you get an MMO on a day one, you're pretty much shafted, aren't you? I mean, look at the state of Final Fantasy XIV at the moment. I mean, it's highly praised, one of the best MMOs for a long time, but unfortunately nobody can get online, and at the moment Square Enix are refunding people on the PS3 who've actually downloaded it digitally because they can't even get online.
Yeah,
So,
here's the thing as well with the online.
I think it's a sensible approach, isn't it,
Yeah.
to sort of phase things in. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are quite creative, going, "Oh no, give us everything now." But I think it's quite a sensible approach.
Yeah. Here's the thing with the online as well, where developers and publishers are having issues with their servers on day one. It's not that they're not expecting as much. It's at the same time, it's you could have your servers bolstered up and ready, and Rockstar will. But there's going to be such an influx of information happening at that single time, they're still going to have issues. It takes once you've found those issues, you got to try and divert them. It's not like you're going to go, okay, let's buy so many more servers, let's upgrade this and that. You could have a football field of servers. You probably still have some issues. You just got to be able to route that data
working
properly.
at Blizzard.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had the best servers in the world, and but even they couldn't go. But having said that, their big day one problem was they didn't anticipate the level of people that would actually log on. I think it was about 3.5 million on day one. They were only expecting like 500,000 people, but it was a game of such high quality that people couldn't believe it. And I think the same's going to happen. I mean, hopefully, what we're going to get is a situation where you get the sort of the people who just want the single player. They'll be happy for 2 weeks, months, whatever, and they won't even bother touching the online. Whereas the rest of us, we want to get on there and see what the improvements are over what Red Dead did. Which I think basically Grand Theft is going to be like a massive version of Red Dead Redemption. Really, I think that's what they're going for, but just with more detailed things, to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm anticipated for both parts, so it's not going to faze me too much. Definitely, I'll be trying to get on day one for multiplayer, but at the same time, if I don't. Here's the thing as well: you're still going to have an army of 9-year-olds jump in there. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. One thing I was actually encouraged to hear from Mr. Benzies himself is that they're going to have a system in place. I mean, there's sort of a fair few levels in the system. One, for instance, if we were going for a game of tennis or a game of golf, you can't just have a load of people fly over in planes and bomb the crap out of us. Apparently, it's like a separate sort of mini instance away from what's going on.
Yeah.
Which, to some degree, is a bit of a shame because it would be quite funny to have that happen. Having said that, if it happens all the time, it's not going to be very funny. Also, another interesting bit of information that I was quite surprised about is when you get your own car and you've upgraded it and everything, and you leave it, somewhere in the world, nobody can steal it. It's locked. Nobody can take your car.
No.
But if you come back to that place in the world, you can get your car back.
Yeah, it's like a mini MMO.
If it gets destroyed as well, you can just pay a fee to the garage and get your actual car back, which I thought was a nice little touch. Because it seems they're going for like a sort of a more of a social, sort of game. But also, obviously, then we have the crew part as well, where obviously it's just 16 player a server at the moment, but you're all part of a bigger world. But after that, crews can fight each other and do various things. So obviously we're switching servers to do that and so forth. But I do love the fact that they're trying to make it sort of more of a community online experience rather than just everybody just go out and kill each other. But alluding back to if you get these griefers who go around and start killing you, apparently they get some sort of rating where they're all sort of moved to their own server with each other, so they can just grief each other, and keep away from everybody else, which I thought was a nice little move.
Oh, they can play Titanic to themselves now.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice little thing to do. Well, it is, it is, isn't it? I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, yeah, let them all go kill each other. I mean, it's like there's some of those servers on Call of Duty, isn't it, where you've got people botting and doing whatever, and guys flying around in midair, and they're all on one server together doing it all the time.
It's like us on Red
If that's
Dead.
what you want to be doing. Yeah, exactly. If that's what they want to be doing, then fair enough.
We had some fairly good nights on Red Dead, where it was, okay, we were kind of griefing, but at the same time,
What are you talking about? We were the lawmen. We sorted shit out, wasn't it?
No, can we recall how I went around with the Mandarin lessons, how-to Mandarin lessons, and luring people into the cabin in the woods?
With people learning Mandarin via Red Dead. I don't think there's anything
when
wrong
they
with
get
that.
upset, they
think
come
there's
chase
anything
us
wrong with
in the little cabin in the woods that's just surrounded by a cougar spawn zone. But yeah.
Now this is another little thing they've done as well. They've got a passive mode in as well, which is good. So if you're getting killed excessively, you can just switch passive mode on and get out of there, which is nice. I like the thing is, I like the fact that they've really thought about this. This is not just some we're making Grand Theft Online. This is gonna be this is gonna be something where they've actually put a lot of thought into it. And I think, again, as we talked about in the last podcast, it shows a developer moving on, doesn't it? I think, again, raising the bar.
The next,
showing people, how it's done. Really.
The next step, I can say, would probably be just a full-on, either large servered game with like 50 odd people on, or we could be seeing a full-out MMO.
Well, this is interesting you've said that, because, and I quote, "Well, ever since the beginning of this, we have always wanted to make the world. Now we have a vast catalogue of back content already available that we can put into this world." Now, that says to me that this is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
They've got Liberty City, Vice City, Frisco, Vegas, right? I mean, he's ultimately said they want to make the world. That's been the dream.
They do.
To make the world of Grand
They have
Theft.
been wanting to connect all the maps together. There's always been that urge.
And they won't just do that. They'll do London. They'll do various other places. I mean, I in 10 years I could foresee. You jump on a plane in San Andreas and fly off somewhere else, and go to London or something like that,
I would probably want them to stick to the more fictional worlds, because I like the parodies they pull off on them, and still be able to get away with them.
Well, obviously, all of it will be parody, won't it? I mean, obviously, can you imagine how funny London had been? It'd be hilarious.
London's
funny.
the only game that's actually been named after a real city.
Yes.
So.
Well, what else can you call it, though? You can't call it Grand Theft Britain.
Albion. Albion.
You couldn't call it Londinium, because then we'd be in Rome Total War.
Oh.
But one of the things I was very excited about personally.
Could call it Chav Central.
Talking about what Leslie Benzies was talking about was, and this is amazing. I mean, when you're in your apartment and your television's on, you can watch people of, I think it's 3 or 4 star rating and above, getting chased by the police. If your mates are in a car chase or whatever, you can start watching that on TV. It's like America's Most Wanted sort of thing going on, right? So we could all be sat in theory in an apartment watching one of our boys go out and cause ruckus.
Effectively.
Also, when you're in your apartment, you have a buzzer system and security cameras outside to see if you can let in, so you don't get jacked of your money, right? Now, leading on from this, and this is an exact quote from Leslie Benzies, "A dream of ours is that when you finish the game, you press a button and it's made into a film of everything you have done in the game."
That would be crazy.
And then he gets asked the question, well, that sounds very complex. And he says, well, not really, it's all doable.
Mm.
Now, that says to me that in the future, this is what is going to be going on, isn't it? Because they're very tapping into this sort of YouTube, you know, everybody can video each other, Twitch TV, you know, live streaming sort of thing. I think they really, I mean, as usual, Rockstar have always got the finger on the pulse, haven't they? They know what's going on. You know, they're not a set of buffoons who don't know what's happening. Now, this is where he says here. He says here about Weasel Television. He says all you can do at the moment is watch feeds of people with certain wanted levels from your apartment. It doesn't get fed out anywhere else. It'll pick your friends, crew members, and other players of a certain wanted level.
I just want.
Now that's amazing.
This is what we need to do. The Heartstoppers must be sitting in their apartment. We're watching the news. We're keeping an eye out. Most wanted list comes up. We see that person going down that specific highway. We hop in our patrol car and off we go. We're off to help stop crime.
Yeah,
let's go.
Well, hopefully by that point we'll have such a good apartment. We'll have a helicopter on the roof or a sort of Harrier jump jet down the road or whatever.
Exactly,
else.
And we could bring up.
Do you know what I mean? Though the possibilities of this game are endless, aren't they? If they really do this properly, you know, I mean, let alone the fact that we could possibly go to Vice City again and all these. I mean, you know, it just boggles the mind of what they could do.
I just want to be able to go get in the patrol car. Once we've solved crime and all that wonderful stuff, I can go, Mr. Black, do you like glazed donuts, Mr. Black? And drive off to the donut store while somebody else sits there and watches the TV going, oh, there's another crime. And you go, okay, what street is it in? Oh, it's on such and such. Okay, back in the patrol car, off we go. Somebody grabs a helicopter.
I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, there's a sort of screenshot I've seen of a crew, right? And there's sort of there's 8 of them. There's 4 people in cars. There's a guy in a massive juggernaut truck, 2 guys on motorbikes, and 2 guys in helicopters armed with missile launchers, all just going down the street, getting ready to get up to some mischief. I mean, come on. It's just unbelievable.
I hope we get the Ripley back, though. What?
Unbelievable.
I hope we get the Ripley.
I love this. He got asked another couple of questions. One was, the game's been demoed on PS3 all the time, and he said yes. And they said, you know, is PS3 the lead format? And he said, no, not really. He said there's no difference between the two platforms. I would possibly argue that the PS3 version may be slightly better due to Blu-ray. I'm not entirely sure. I think probably the loading times are better on 360, and obviously the 360 version of pretty much all of their games has been better anyway.
Well, the 360's version is going to be on the hard drive as well.
Yeah,
the majority of it is on the
well, it has a
installation.
mandatory install on the PS3, but it's still going to run off the disc. So, you know, I've got a PS3, and let's be honest, loading times are not exactly cracking on that machine.
Yeah, I think the majority of the textures will be pushed over onto the PS3. It's just that
the beauty of this about the online world was he was asked a question. They said, in terms of fidelity, have you had to cut any corners? And there was a simple one-word answer of no. Now he gets asked a question as well about sort of you know, the next gen, and you know this has all been developed for the current gen, but say you know, in a few months people are starting to buy the next gen, and say Grand Theft comes out on it. He said well, what you need to realise is that your profile exists on the Rockstar cloud servers, not any specific platform. So if you move on to another, you know, say PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, then you will be able to take your profile with you. And this is where I said to you earlier, where I see this, and I think Rockstar see this as becoming a separate entity. Very much like the Elder Scrolls Online is going to be a separate game to like the core Elder Scrolls games. Obviously, a Grand Theft Auto Online, you're not going to be getting the same level of story and, you know, sort of living the life of a gangster. It's going to be more of a place to hang out, isn't it? Like very much MMOs are, isn't it? I mean, MMO really comes down to the social aspect, doesn't it, of chilling out with your friends.
Or going bowling.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to a round of golf. Don't know about you.
Oh no, we get the was it the GTA5 character pack coming with the collector's edition, don't we?
Well, you get the because you'll get the big one. Yeah, no,
I was
What you get is you get a lineage system where your online character can be created from like Nico and whoever he's been knocking up. Or you can have it with Claude, you know, from number 3, and that crazy Spanish bird he had.
Oh, Catalina.
Yeah. There's rumours there's something about Tommy Vercetti yet, but they've not said what it is. But there's some rumblings out there of some action with Tommy Vercetti as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I was actually lucky to get onto the list for the big collector's edition in Australia. It's just that they've been putting them out so limited. From what I've heard...
Oh, they sold out over here months ago.
Yeah, well, pretty much it's a first come, first serve at places like EB Games. And pretty much I got my copy pre-ordered almost straight off the bat. I think they were starting to advertise posters with the game. I just went, okay, I'll pre-order it now. There's literally 4 copies of the big collector's editions for each EB Games store. So, yeah, that is when 4 copies is being issued. That's quite a rare thing. I mean, there's something like over 300 odd bloody stores, but still, it's a lot of still a lot of collector's editions. But at the same time, you got to be able to get hold of them. And it's just a bit of a stressful one.
I mean, for me, my big pre-order bonus that I want is the blimp.
You want the blimp?
Yeah, I'm not too fussed about like the boosting stuff, you know, that makes you level up faster and all that jazz, because
that doesn't faze me that much.
Particularly interesting to me.
Yeah, it's not. I wanted the Los Santos cap.
It's not for me. I mean, I can understand, you know, people, especially in the modern age now, don't have a lot of time, and I can understand certain people who want that. You know, I can boost up my character faster and get through the game quicker, but thankfully I'm going to have a few weeks off just to sink myself in there. But I do want the blimp, I've got to say. I want the blimp. It's got to be done. Come on, skydiving out the blimp. Look, let's sort of possibly try and sort of recreate a mission in our minds. Let's say we've got to go rob a bank, and apparently the online heists have all the complexity of the single player heists, where you've got to go do research, scope places out, you know, come up with numerous parts to the missions. So let's look at it this way. There's a few of us in blimp. There's a few guys on the deck. You know, maybe a sniper watching over us or whatever, and we can just go parachuting in from the top from a blimp. I mean, come on. How awesome is that? It's going to be absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's going to be pretty damn fantastic. With the car customization in the game, I'm just hoping there's a slight chance that if you remember the vehicle, the Dukes from GTA 4.
Absolutely.
I'm just hoping there's a nice little rip on the General Lee art design in there.
Well, it was pretty close, wasn't it?
In the customization.
It was pretty close.
Well, that was a 69 Charger.
Close.
Or it was meant to be a 70s Charger, but at the same time, the difference between a 69, like 1969 Dodge Charger is absolutely nothing at all. It's just a year. But yeah, it was just fun originally in GTA 4 to get hold of the orange Dukes and just start, going nuts down through Broker. We've got to have the old 0-1 on the side. It's just got to, or some form of 0-1.
Well, imagine it's supercharged with some nice wheels on there and maybe a lowered suspension. I mean, this is the thing that they said as well, is they want you to feel ownership of your weapons and your cars. You can have certain cars for certain jobs, certain weapons for certain jobs, modifications, all these things. I mean, to be honest, the stuff they could put in there is mind-boggling. What they wanted to do, and as we know, it's 3.5 times the size of Red Dead in a landmass, and that's not including the sea. Now, one thing they have said is when GTA Online first comes out, you're not going to be able to go in the sea and use the submarines, but that's going to come in later on. So, how funny would that be? A couple of guys go in and play, and somebody comes up in the submersible. I mean, I think the level of sort of where you can play this is going to be sort of unlimited by your own imagination, I think. I mean, one thing I would say though is I hope that there is some fairly reasonable stealth mechanics in it if you're going to be getting really into doing the heists and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how that pans out, I think.
Yeah, no, it's definitely looking something. So we're just gonna have to.
It's pretty spectacular, I have to say. I mean, I've been around a long time now. I've been gaming since sort of 1986, 87. I've got a very good reference point of where things have come from, and I think that's something as well that people these days do need. Sort of the younger guys, and I think they should go back and play the Mega Drives, the NESs, the Atari 2600s, Pong even. So you've got a very good reference point and appreciate what you actually have now.
We're now running a lot into people that haven't played. Some of them haven't even really heard of the first Half-Life game. They've probably played like Half-Life 2, and again sitting on the bandwagon of where's Half-Life 3, but they're still. Have you played Half-Life 1? No.
The day Half-Life 3 is announced, the internet will melt.
The day Half-Life 3 is announced is pretty much when there's a nuclear warhead aimed at every single local city, and that Gabe Nor's like, okay, we're quite fucked. Hey guys, guess what?
I mean, I've
Half-Life 3
heard a
announced.
couple of rumours. I've heard a couple of things on the old grapevine that they've had to rebuild the game 3 times now.
Yeah.
And rumours are now it's going to become an open world sort of game. Because the thing is, they've got to move on from Half-Life 2. Look, and now I know this is probably going to be a controversial statement when I say this, but I played Half-Life 2 again recently, and it's not as good as it was.
No, it's very long.
And it isn't.
And
it's not as good as it was.
yeah, it's just sometimes it just gets a bit too much more on the whole corridor thing, and you just like it's getting a bit pointless.
Yes.
I mean,
if you play, compare it to Halo or something like that, where you've got a bit of choice in what you do. But I think as well, some of that comes down to the fact that they did have to change the game, didn't they? I mean, if you remember the initial trailers and the things you could do in it, they had to change it a lot, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because the code got stolen, didn't it? It got hacked. I mean, there's an interesting article actually for everybody out there if you want to read it about the kid who cost Valve $250 million, and he's the guy. And it was some kid who'd hacked it. I say kid, he was in it, sort of teenager. But yeah, he is the man. We should have a witch hunt. Let's go find him. No, don't people. Let's not go find him. It probably works at Valve now. Actually, it probably works. It's probably suckling on Gabe's ever hairy long teeth, loving it.
just saying, you're asking YouTube to set up a witch hunt. Do you know how bad of an idea it is?
Look, we're a small channel at the moment. Nobody's going to listen to what I say.
Really? Well, I surely think they're not just listening to me.
Yes, YouTube. let's start a witch hunt. Let's start a witch hunt. I'm up for that. We'll have a good old witch hunt. Yeah. definitely.
Oh, does that mean we're playing
Yeah,
Left 4 Dead
well,
later?
Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? The guys who got shown around the Valve studio, and Left 4 Dead 3 is happening, and the Source 2 engine's happening. So there's stuff going on. There's little bits of wizardry still going on there.
I so hope
I'll
it
tell you
doesn't get
this though,
censored.
and I've said this for years, haven't I? I sincerely believe that they will do this Steambox console.
Yeah.
And what better way to sell it than have Half-Life 3 on it?
Yeah, well, we just got to wait and see. But I mean, they've tried before, and it didn't go so well. But at the same time, the goal is still going to be there. They've already got a sales platform. Steam has been working very well now. They've got it up and running properly.
It's a cracking system. I mean, I remember installing it back in 2004 when I got Half-Life 2, and it took, I think it was about an hour and a half to install. And it wasn't because the game took an hour and a half, it was because it was twatting around with Steam. But I have to say now, it's definitely a really good platform. I mean, the other day they had Metro Last Light going for £13. I was quite bemused when I saw that. Unfortunately, I didn't have the finances to buy it, otherwise I would have done straight away. But I mean, I've had some amazing deals on there. I got all the Star Wars games, you know, all the Dark Forces games, all the strategy games, all the Knights of the Old Republic, the Force Unleashed games. So I think it was about sort of £300 worth of games for £20.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
The Star Wars games always get put into that big bundle, usually around like the summertime.
I mean, the only thing I was a bit disappointed, well, the X-Wing games weren't in there because I loved them.
Also, Battlefront 1.
X-Wing.
Battlefront 1's not in those deals.
Battlefront 2's in there.
Yeah, I'm still more of a
that's
fan
in there.
of Battlefront 1, to be honest. There's something about being able to go prone. No, it's just like...
you just keep that to yourself. You just keep that to yourself.
No,
Sorry, internet. We're not advertising anything here.
no, Battlefront 2 was a bit more, I wouldn't say streamlined, but they catered it to a much larger audience. Where, okay, we bring in the allure of Jedis and that. Really, the game got a bit too easy. Whereas...
I didn't like the third-person view either. I thought that would have been rubbish.
Well, you could change it, but with the first Battlefront, especially on the PC version, that first-person view was more catered. You got inside a vehicle, you had a first-person HUD inside that vehicle, you moved over to a turret, you still had that first-person view inside the turret, and, you know, all the way throughout the game, you could mainly play it as a bit more tactical as well, but in straight-out first-person, enjoy it thoroughly. But the reason why I mentioned go prone is because I used to do a lot of sniping in the game. It was quite a fun thing to do, and sit out on the piers of Kashyyyk and just start pinging off troops coming out through the beach land. But yeah,
So you revelled in cowardice? Is that what you did?
No, I revelled in just watching droids run across the docks and just shooting them in the heads. I don't consider sniping cowardice, especially in that game when you've got these...
Well, if you're shooting C-3PO, then yeah, that's fair enough. One of the most sexually confused robots I've ever seen, even though he had no bits. But anyway, maybe interface with R2-D2 in a very strange way, I don't know.
But I mean...
That's a conversation for another time, I think.
But you also had stuff like in Battlefront 2 when they had you could play as Jedis and that. It just got a bit too... Yeah, that's where it helped get a bit too easy. You got the Jedi bonus.
Well, yeah, it was a bit smash one button and just run around, wasn't it, really?
Well, you hit two buttons when you've got Yoda, and there you go, you take half a field of enemies out. That was it. You just watched that unit count go down as soon as someone was fucking Yoda. Poof, there we go.
I have to say, though, did you see the footage that Freed Radical had done for Battlefront 3? That looked amazing, didn't it? Flying around Mos Eisley on speeder bikes and then blasting off into space and stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot
What a waste of a game.
It's very unfortunate, but all these ideas were brought in by Rebellion when they were doing the PSP titles. And as much as the ideas were good of what they were going with them, unfortunately, they kind of ruined themselves. They branched too far away from the main tactical part, and you ended up getting these, which one was it? Renegade Squadron. I think there was two. There was Renegade Squadron, and then there was another one after that. But yeah, you had you made your own custom class kind of thing, so you actually had to purchase, or you had unit points kind of thing, so if you had a flamethrower, that's so many points, la-di-da-di-da, so on and so forth, you had to select your inventory. It was all well and good, but sometimes it just got a bit too bizarre and outbalanced. But yeah. Yeah, they just really didn't go well on the PSP.
I think it's in good hands with DICE.
Pardon?
I said I think it's in good hands with DICE.
Well, that's where they need to go.
The new one. I have to say, I'll be honest, right? I was on Battlefield 3 the other day on the PC with my brother. He came round and he loves his first-person shooters and he loves his online. So we got on there, and I have to say, full whack on the old rig. It's pretty crackers. It's a very good game. Obviously, I got completely owned, totally taken down. But one of the highlights was driving around in the tank, and there's a couple of guys in this building. He just blew the shit out the side of the building, and they just fell out of the side dead. And then you could just trash the bridge and everything. I thought, you know what, Battlefront's going to be in good hands with these guys if they do it properly.
Yeah, no.
So I was very impressed.
It will definitely turn out quite well. Okay, you'll be seeing the usual stuff that'll happen with Electronic Arts. You ain't going to be able to avoid it, but at the same time, Electronic Arts want stuff like Battlefield to work, and work well. It's going to be the same with Battlefront. There's going to be a lot of people going on to that. There's going to be a lot of people enjoying it. EA does not want to stuff it up, and they know it. So they've just literally gone, hey DICE, go do Battlefield, but just replace all the skins with Stormtroopers. Which...
Well, I like the fact though that they've said that they're going to allow you to take off from land and then go into space to start fighting. Yeah. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, no. The PSP titles had that as well. But then you had a slight loading animation for it due to the PSP's power on it. But yeah, it's good to see it happen finally on a bigger scale. But, I mean,
now, one other thing I think we need to talk about is the upcoming sort of next generation. I think the main talking point has to be the crack den that is Microsoft at the moment. I mean, what the hell is going on over there? What are they doing? You know, it's one announcement after another of, oh, we've changed everything, we're changing our policies, you're getting a headset now, you're getting free games. They're now in some interviews, they're trying to sort of rewrite the history before E3. I read one comment saying that we were surprised that people didn't want DRM policies. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, you know, you don't have a lot of money, do you? And you have to trade in games to get new ones. And I just do not see how, you know, Microsoft could possibly not understand that there are people out there who don't have a lot of money in a recession to spend on games. You need that leeway, don't you?
Yeah, but it didn't help that we had Activision and Electronic Arts both sitting on their shoulders of Microsoft, just going, "Hey, we got good ideas." Oh no, those two companies, they didn't have anything to do with it. They were perfectly innocent. They were just supporting us.
Those companies are basically two of the biggest money-grabbing companies going. We know that. Activision would probably sell their daughters to
They
get
already have.
to get out of you know, selling anything. They'd sell their own daughters is what they'd do, basically. It's a shambles. It's an absolute shambles. It's one of the biggest disgraces I've seen. I mean, the latest, what was it that we're talking about recently? Oh yes, you know, the Xbox One is going to be the lead format. No, it isn't. Let's get a grip here, people.
Did you see their new advertisement?
It's not going to be the lead format, is it? Really? Let's be honest. It's an underpowered machine. We all know it. We all know it.
Did you see their latest advertisement for the Xbox One?
Yes, I did.
Did you notice something?
Yes, I did.
It's a lot like the
It was
unveiling.
embarrassing as those. Well, it was almost as embarrassing as those Steve Ballmer and Bill Gates adverts that they used to do, you know, selling Windows and various other things. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Unbelievably ridiculous.
I want to see Winnebago Man try to sell the Xbox One. That would get it. I would buy the Xbox One if Winnebago Man did it.
I mean, look, let's be honest. What has the Xbox One got to offer us at the moment?
TV.
Not a great deal.
TV?
Yeah, TV and sports.
TV.
Yeah, it's TV and sports.
Don't forget, you can have a relationship with your TV. Don't you want one of those?
Yeah, that was the best line. That was the best line I heard. Now you can have a relationship with your television. What sort of relationship is this?
I did hear...
I didn't realise there was an interface in my TV for me to have a proper relationship with it.
I did hear a long time ago about a certain sex toy that you plugged up to your TV that would go with the rhythm and noises that was going on with the certain movies you're watching. Is that not a relationship with your TV?
I did about a Wii one as well, yeah. Yeah, there's a Wii remote one as well or something, isn't there?
Oh. But
yeah, it's all getting a bit disturbing now, isn't it? You know.
Let it.
I mean, to be honest, look, they really need. I mean, look, Microsoft are giving away free games now. FIFA,
They
Forza 5.
They did the
stinks of desperation.
I picked up Assassin's Creed 3's Tyranny of George Washington DLC. They're pretty much all for about. They're all about $5 each. Well, less than $5 each. The season pass is about $30, so I've literally just saved myself half price off a season pass. I don't even touch the multiplayer nowadays, so.
Yeah, I got the in that sale this week. Yeah, I got Contra Hardcores for £2.50, which will be on this video. Fantastic game, amazing side-scrolling shoot 'em up, rock hard. Back from when games were hard. That's what these young whippersnappers need to get involved in.
A lot of people are saying the new Splinter Cell is hard.
Well, I don't know about that.
You still haven't touched it?
To be honest, I'll be honest. No. The stealth game I'm gonna get is gonna be Thief in February when that comes out. That's going to be happening. There's nothing like blackjacking somebody to the back of the head and getting in there. It's a fantastic game. I would recommend you get it when you can. Really good.
Yeah. I'll definitely be putting a pre-order in. But, yeah. No, I've been hearing a lot about Splinter Cell in terms of the difficulty. Now, I've played it. I'm now bumped it up to the harder difficulties, and it really is just like going more further into the earlier games, to be honest. Terms of difficulty is that sometimes the AI seems to be able to see you through walls and half a mile off. Yet you can sneak right up to them, tap them on the shoulder and go hello, and walk off again. They don't seem to be bothered. But yeah.
Oh dear. Well, that's a bit of a sideshow, isn't it?
I gotta say though, the multiplayer has actually been a lot better than what it did originally.
I mean, I've been thinking about picking it up, but Again, I've got so much of a backlog to do. I'm not entirely
Pick it up.
convinced yet that I need it.
Pick it up cheap. We've got to play Spies versus Mercs.
Oh yeah,
one-
definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely get involved in that.
Spies versus Mercs has been incredibly good fun. It is just quite amusing, especially classic mode. Classic mode just strips you back down to night vision goggles, and the Mercs have a torch. It just goes back to that classic mode, and that can be tense as hell because you're just hoping that torch doesn't actually get onto your Splinter Cell unit. You just don't want that to happen. But yeah, it's just incredibly good fun. Yeah, I haven't actually, like, every now and then I'll bump into online and I mean, you can't really top stuff like Red Dead Redemption. I've given up stuff like Call of Duty.
No, it's one of the greatest games of all time, is Red Dead, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've given up with stuff like Call of Duty. Yeah, I'll just every now and then you just log into like more older free roam games. That's about it. But yeah, I got straight into Splinter Cell, and for a new release game, I've bumped into a few half decent people that are actually not 9 years old and not screaming all kinds of abuse.
Well, that's always nice.
Yeah, it's just a bit of an odd surprise, to be honest.
Yeah,
But then again, there's
it's-
there's not a lot of kids that actually really want to be playing stealth these days when they've got a perfectly good Call of Duty.
Yeah, indeed.
Get out of Grand Theft Auto 4, you damn young'uns. I want to be able to play in that area.
Well, hopefully they'll piss off out of Grand Theft.
They're going to move to San
That will be
Andreas.
No, I'm not anything against you young'uns out there, but you know, you just need to learn your heritage and then come and play.
But do you like glazed
But
donuts,
anyway,
Mr. Black?
Yeah, well, no, we don't like donuts. But anyway, no, I think we've covered all aspects there today. I think that's been very good. So just remember, people, rate, comment, and subscribe, and support your local sanity or insanity. So it's goodbye from me, Mr. Black, and it's goodbye from him,